And we are live here on Old World Exploration, live on Tuesday night. First comment of the day, YouTube must be suppressing. Of course they're suppressing. They're always trying to shadow ban this content. We're unearthing the gems of the past that counter or contradict the narrative that we were all taught growing up. So I think there's a bit of protection going on. Someone's trying to protect the conventional narrative, but we're here to bust holes in the bucket of the mainstream, if you will. It's already sprung a big leak. We're just busting more holes. So tonight I have a guest joining me. He operates the channel Lost and Found History Rewritten. I don't know why that window is so small. Let's try this. Maybe that's better. His name is Erik, and he popped in on a live of mine last summer, I believe, sometime in the summer. And he does a lot of boots on the ground. I'm going to recommend you check out his channel. Seems to get around a bit too, travel around, and checks out a lot of the structures in a lot of these towns in the Denver, let's say the Colorado area. As you can see here, you got a lot of boots on the ground videos. And I'm pleased to present Erik, and let's bring him in so we can get the conversation going. Erik, thanks for joining me here tonight.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Well, so I got your YouTube channel up here, and yeah, you're pretty hardcore into the boots and ground, as I can see here. You want to talk a little bit about how you got into the old world research?
About 3 years ago, I was introduced to John Levi by a friend of mine, and I saw what he was doing, and then started just seeing that there was inconsistencies everywhere. And I've been seeing these buildings, like everybody since I was a kid. And so I started going and looking at them for a couple of years, and it just made even less sense after that. And the more I looked into it, the more it didn't make sense. And then I started reading about all these buildings and the fires and everything going on. And then I found everybody's channels, and now it's made a good way into the part of my life. I absolutely love doing this.
Yeah, you were inspired so much you created your own channel, I guess, and started doing your boots on the ground investigations. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've been doing that for just over a year now. I started my channel on Christmas last year, or Christmas in 2023, and I've gone to a lot of places since then.
Cool. And yeah, I guess what is it about the historical narrative that we're taught that you have a problem with?
Well, I remember when I was a kid, I went to the Denver Capitol building and I saw that absolutely insane structure. And I'm like, yeah, sure, we built this. And then after going back there after this, nothing makes sense. Nothing at all. I had friends that were able to get into the tunnels under Denver when we were kids. They used to live down there when they were homeless. And wow. So it makes even less sense when you actually put the work in and you go and look at these places, because the manpower it would have taken to build some of these, it would have been 10 plus years. The Denver Capitol building says it was built in 3 years. Absolutely impossible. Just to quarry the stone would have been 3 years. So that's what got me.
And then there's a technology aspect of it too, right? When they say we didn't really have much, but a couple stone cutting tools and saws.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest part that gets me is, so before 1895, no power tools. So you're telling me that they went around and cut these things with chisels and hammers and the tool of the day, and none of that makes any sense. It's absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. So we talked a little bit about what we're going to do here tonight. You've got a lot of content, and I really just want to hand you the wheel, sit back in the passenger seat with my seat reclined, and let you do your thing if you're up for that.
Yeah, I am absolutely up for that.
Okay, let's share your screen, and I'll keep an eye on the chat and try to bring some of the questions and comments into the conversation as we move forward.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, there's your screen.
All right, so we're starting off here at this is the Loretto Heights Academy School for Girls in Denver, Colorado, on Federal and real close to Evans. I've been to this several times. I have a video on my channel of this. It's part of my old world double feature. And this building's got to be 300 years old. Just walking around it and looking at it, it's been vacant for 7 years. It's been abandoned for 7 years. And after having gone and looked at this building and seeing that there's actually stones from this building that are buried in the ground, like they've been there for 300 years. This building is that old, and they're either going to remodel it or they're going to knock it down. And let me click out into here, and there is this page that I'm using is the Loretto community, and this is where absolutely all of their schools are located. And
so they're sorry to interrupt. They're all across the country. Is that correct? This Loretto.
Yes, and they even have them out of the country too. They're also in let me see over here in China, I think, and let's see.
Is this affiliated with a religious organization? Something along those lines? Okay.
Yes. It's a women's academy school type organization, and it's been around since the 1800s apparently. And that, like I said, there's tons and tons of photos in here that I'm going to go through. I've got a lot of them set up.
It's giving me reset vibes. You know, it reminds me of the old normal schools and the asylums and the orphanages. Like,
that's exactly what I got from this when I found this. And it took me a year to get access to this. I requested it, and it took months for them to respond to me and months for them to actually approve this.
Interesting.
And I'm trying to find where they actually have. So here's where they start. This is what the sketch they give us of the original Loretto school here that they were going to build. And this is the one that's in Loretto Heights. And it's now fenced off. You cannot access this building at all.
In Denver, right?
Yes, this is in Denver. I started off with Colorado because, of course, that's where I'm from. And I know probably the most about Colorado that out of everything that I do. But this building is far older than it even looks. And I
think 1885 is what I'm seeing for a kickoff date for this one. I could be wrong. I'm just doing a little search here on the side.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. This, like I said, this building's incredible. I've been here several times, walked through it with my kid. And I'm not sure if this is an actual bell tower or not. And I'm not sure what's in there because you can't get in this building. There's cameras all over this thing. The cameras are still lit up, but there's no power. There's also another building that's right next to this.
And this has been closed for years, this one?
Yeah, this has been closed for 7 years.
Man, it looks like so many of the courthouses and city halls and that I've seen, and so many of the other structures.
Yeah. It looks just like them. There's actually a castle in Westminster that looks identical to this building. And when I say identical, I mean it is identical. And you can see them. I think that they're 20 miles apart, and you can see them from each other from the bell towers.
Let's. I got Wiley in the chat asking about Loretto. Do you want to explain again what we're looking at, just to repeat ourselves?
So Loretto schools it's from the Loretto colleges and the Loretto girls schools. They were all over the United States.
This is
the college. Yeah, this one's in Denver. This is the college. The first one I wanted to introduce. That was one of the first buildings I ever went to. And then this was the chapel right here next to it. And this right here was the original dormitory for the school. And then over here we have the Bonfils Library. This was built afterward, and this is completely destroyed. The windows are all boarded up. They're about to tear this down real soon. And I've got some videos on the Bonfils mystery because Bonfils was the heiress to the Denver Post.
Okay.
And so there was a mansion.
Newspaper?
Yes.
Okay.
And her and her sister apparently had some fight, and she had a mansion built in Lakewood off of Alameda in Ohio and Wadsworth. And this mansion was absolutely massive. And it was a 30-room mansion modeled off of some place in Italy. and they tore it to the ground. They destroyed the whole building because she didn't want her sister to get it.
Oh yeah.
And I grew up like within 10-minute walking distance of that place. So I remember that as a kid, always going there to that park and the huge lake and seeing this place. It was insane. And so there's a lot of places around Denver that have her name all over it, May Bonfils. And it makes no sense that all these places were built by her. She supposedly was a philanthropist, had millions of dollars. So it was very strange. And then so you can see another picture of this school. This is a slightly older picture, I think from the late 80s.
Yeah, that's nice. It's a good picture.
And then let me see if I can bring one up, one of these black and whites that are on here.
It's a total inheritor narrative. Classic, always the philanthropists, these people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question of that. So this is the chapel that's attached to the college there. Oh, yeah. Absolutely beautiful building. This one looks much older than the school itself. And of course you can see we've got our classic cymatic window in the chapel there. Yeah. They always incorporated those in these old buildings. There's another picture of the chapel here.
It was just the style of the day in the 1880s to do that. That's all.
Yeah. I'm so sure. Yeah. These buildings are incredible. They're everywhere. I absolutely love going to these places. Mm-hmm. And that's supposed to be the library that's inside of there. There's, like I said, there's so many pictures on this website. I couldn't even show you them all, but now we're getting into the older pictures here.
Yeah.
And so this was between 1950 and 1960, this photo right here.
Oh, so you got a whole whack of dormers on the front there. Wow.
Yeah. This is the backside.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this is looking at the school from the back. And currently right now, if you go around the fence in the back and you look around back here, there are stones from the building sticking out of the ground. They're out in the grass. It's very strange environment there. The trees are super old. The trees are definitely older than the building is. Mm-hmm. I've been looking through this for. Let me get out of this right here. Uh-oh, what happened?
I got Eric's channel up here. There's Mark in the chat, one of my moderators. He's the troll control guy. he's on troll patrol.
That's always nice. I like to hear that.
Yeah. We don't get many in here though. Yeah, I love that. I love that series of dormers in the roof there. That's actually fairly unique. How they have them all stacked so tightly together like that. It's pretty.
Yes, it's unusual to see, especially in Denver. If I could get my computer to respond here. There we go. If you look around Denver, there's tons of these buildings all over the place like this, but the one that matches it is in Westminster, and it is literally identical brick. It's identical style, and it was built within the same 10-year period that this was. Mm-hmm. And it's very strange that these two buildings, you can see them from each other all the way across the entire city. They're directly north and south of each other.
I'm just going to show that real quick. Just one second.
Yeah, please.
Westminster. This one really caught my eye too when I first got into this research, because there's a photo, black and white photo of these guys in a car or something like that, and this castle is in the background in Denver. This is what you're talking about, isn't it?
That's the Westminster Castle. That one. And that they are identical to each other. And from up there in my double feature video, I walk up to a tree and I plant my phone next to the tree, and you can see where I have I zoom into this other school, this girls' school that's directly south of this building, this Westminster Castle.
Interesting. So before we went live, we talked a little bit about a grid system. You seem to have a bit of perspective on that too, like what was going on here before with all these towns. And you want to talk a little bit about that, or?
It seems like the more I do boots on the ground, the more I realize that it looks like that after they tried to erase the grid of all the energy grid on the Earth, that these buildings were put up after that, it seems like, and they created another grid, or maybe the grid changed, and that's why that they put these buildings like that. And so it's very odd. And so this is this website will actually give you access to a lot of these postcards. I know, Chris, that you have a good collection of these postcards as well.
I do like postcards.
I love these postcards. And this is the castle, and you can see that. Look how big these trees are insanely huge.
Yeah.
I mean, insanely huge. All the trees are gone now. They're wiping this place clean. There's houses built all over this property now. You can't get anywhere near it. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I'm really hoping they don't tear it down. And then,
it sounds like it's heading in that direction. The way that, like you said, it's been closed for 7 years. It sounds like it's heading in that direction.
Yeah. And this is historic Colorado right here. And so,
wow, that's a great old photo.
Oh yeah. These black and whites are amazing. And you can see in this one, the trees, they're not even here anymore. And I don't know if the trees aren't here or if these were added in later, because you cannot tell. You cannot tell, because we know that photo manipulation happened. We've got the vanilla skies in this photo again. That's a going theme with a lot of these photos, is you're going to see that there's tons of vanilla skies. And this was in 1929 that they showed this. And they say that the chapel was built in 1911, and that's on this side. It's on the right side of this building. So I don't believe that the chapel was built after this building was. I believe the chapel was here before it.
Doing a little bit of snip and clip and scratch and whatever they did to those things.
So I am going to get into this because I have a lot of these planned to show you guys, and I'm going to do Colorado first. And there's, like I said, over here on the left side, we've got loads and loads of states here to go through. And here I'll show you this one too. This is another. And so then we look at this one, and now we have trees again. So it doesn't make any sense. Were the trees there? Were they not there? It's very strange. It's just very high strangeness when it comes to these schools. And I looked through these pictures for a long, long time. And then this is an old picture of the back of the school. Actually, this is really reminiscent of what it looks like right now. It looks very similar to this right now in current time.
Not well taken care of. Overgrown.
Just everything it's just gone. Windows are broken. It's just the property's destroyed, and it's all the way up to this road. It's all fenced off. You can't get anywhere near here. I asked for access to this, and they denied me. They told me no. I wanted to do videos of the inside because there haven't been any pictures or videos done of the inside of this place in the last almost 10 years.
What did you tell them? You told them you wanted to archive it? You want to record it?
Yes, and they told me I would have to pay to be able to do that. And I laughed at that. I'm like, I have to pay? Really? I'm like, okay, all right. I see how it is.
So times are tight. Loretto must be tight with the Loretto Foundation right now.
Yes. And so then we've got the Blessed Sacrament School here. This is another place that's here in Denver. Absolutely gorgeous building. I'm not exactly 100% sure if this building still exists, but I don't think that it still exists. But you can see it was built with the pediments. It was built with the raised architecture above the building. Huge stone stairs. There's so many of these. I absolutely love these buildings. That they were everywhere. And so this is from the back end.
I think the roof lines are changed on a lot of those too, and they just did a typical gable roof. Like there was probably a lot more going on in the upper reaches. That's my theory. I've seen a lot of postcard evidence to suggest that as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. And a lot of these, if they do keep them, they end up ripping the roof off. The sawtooth goes away. Then it just looks like a standard structure that we could build today with just bricks.
Yeah, it won't catch your eye as much, right? It won't turn your head as you're driving by it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me get into some more of these.
And if you're wondering, we're talking to Erik from Lost and Found History Rewritten. The link is in the description. You can check his channel out. There's a lot of boots on the ground, a ton of research. I'm happy to have Erik here to share what he's found.
And so this building is definitely gone. This doesn't exist in Denver anymore. I think this one was burned by a fire. This was the Blessed Sacrament School itself.
That stone was burned by a fire?
Yeah. Stone. That's what they tell us. They tell us that this stone burned down, which is that it makes no sense. We make our fireplaces out of stone so it doesn't burn. As a matter of fact, that's how I introduce new people into this research is that what do we make our fireplaces out of? Well, stone. Why do we make it out of stone? Well, because it doesn't burn, It's just we're just fed so much that it's hard to believe anything that they say now. My 9-year-old is asking these questions in school, and they don't want to answer anything that he says. They will not answer his questions.
It probably scares them.
Yeah, it does. And my son talking about this, and at 9 years old, he was talking about this 2 years ago. At 7 years old, and he has the same belief system we do. That this realm we're being lied to about the shape of it from the get-go. And I told him before he ever went to school, I had him watch some documentaries about the shape of what we're standing on and the science behind it and all of that. And he told me, he said, "Dad, they're lying to us." And after he went to school, he when they talk about the globe, he just laughs. He laughs hysterically. They talk about NASA. He laughs hysterically. The teachers don't know what to do and don't know why, because he won't actually say it. That's something that could get him in a lot of trouble at school.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
But I find it hilarious that he actually responds that way, because there's no way they wouldn't have been able to build stuff like this, and it stay there for hundreds of years or thousands if it does. Like the star forts, they've been there since the beginning. We don't even know how they were made. And
they have no answer for it. They actually just edited a lot of this out of our history, right?
Yes, it's so hidden. And my son has asked me about star forts and when we can go to one so he can see it. And there's one in New Mexico that's pretty much all the way gone, but I'm eventually going to take a trip out there with him so we can do some videos on that. And I got a drone to do footage with a drone. Nice. It's going to be a lot of fun out there. Now this is Colorado Springs St. Mary's School, and I have a video of this building. I do believe that this building across the street is still here, but this building is still here. I have a video of this one. I think this is the one that I was standing out front of when the bells started ringing, but of course there's no bells in that bell tower. It's speakers now. They've removed all the bells. They don't want those brass and copper bells anywhere anymore. It's they're really trying to hide our history from us, like really, really hard. And discovering that all of these schools, they're founded, every single one of them. I went through the history on all these schools. They're all founded, every last one of them.
Can I show a little bit before you go on? Can I show a little bit of your boots on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Okay. I'm just going to show everybody. Let me just get it lined up. You can talk if you don't mind walking us through. I think that'd be cool. Okay, give me a second.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Okay. Should I go at this speed? It's 4 minutes. You can cut it off whenever you want. You can tell me to stop or whatever. But
yeah, that's the St. Mary's Parish. Yeah, that was a fun day getting to go down there with my son.
Oh yeah. So this is where Colorado Springs, right?
Yeah, this is in the Springs. That's where I'm living now. And you can see in the center there right there where I pointed, that's where they added on to this building.
Yeah. For sure. It's clearly
absolutely gorgeous building.
Old world, new world. Old world.
Yeah.
That's a good
that's a great comparison right there.
Right there. Let's pause it. Old world, new world. Any questions?
Yeah, just ask your questions to the one on the right, because nobody's going to be able to answer them truthfully about the one on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely incredible buildings. And they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. And everybody drives past them every single day. Don't even think a thing about them. They have no clue what they're really looking at.
Man, that tower is something else on the right side there.
Oh yeah, that was the bell tower. I would think I was standing out here for 2 or 3 minutes, and then the bells started ringing. I got lucky to be there during the time that they had them going on. But like I said, there's no bells in there. It's empty, and it's speakers in there now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. We can jump back to your presentation if you like.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
So this is the St. Mary's School. I'm pretty sure that the St. Mary's School in Colorado Springs was actually demolished. Of course, down here we got the additional context on the right. There's no information about these places. They don't know. They don't know anything about these, and supposedly that they were the ones that founded and built them. They didn't build these. There's no way that they built these.
Mm-hmm.
These were here. They found them, and they took them for their own use. And of course, we know that the churches were the first things that were here, of course. And it was actually, I did some real in-depth research on churches and banks. The banks were actually, the churches were the banks.
Mm.
And that's, if you needed a loan or to get a piece of land or money, you would go to the church. And the church would give you the gold or the money or whatever it was that you were looking for, because they were the depository for all of the valuables.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And I do a lot of research on law and terminology and stuff like that. And so when you hear the word renovation, to renovate is to make new of the old.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big term that they're using everywhere, is renovation. It's actually,
say that again. I missed that.
It's actually two words. It's renovate. So they've already novated it once. To novate is to make new of the old, or to replace the old with something new. And then to renovate is to do it again a second time. That means it's already been done once. Yes.
Interesting. It's all in the language, eh? So this is a part of that same church we were seeing in your boots on the ground video.
Yeah,
that same complex.
This is the school that was behind it.
Okay,
you can see the church here. This is no longer here. On my video, you can see where I walk around the west and the northern side. This is long gone. Long gone. I wish this was still there. This is absolutely gorgeous building. And of course, we can see down here it's mud flooded. Of course it is.
Yeah.
And even all the way up a mile high in Colorado, we've got mud flooded buildings, which makes no sense. Again, it makes no sense, everything they're telling us.
Well, you were talking about tunnels in Denver?
Oh yes, right? There are tunnels underneath Denver that go from the Capitol building to the Brown Palace. They stretch all the way under the 16th Street Mall. It was one point, it was part of the sewer where their transit system is now put. They replaced the underground part of the sewer with the transit system where the Regional Transportation District, the RTD light rail, and the buses go. That's where it's like a big Union Depot hub there, and it's actually right underneath Union Station, and Union Station is attached. Yeah. And Union Station's a supposed second. We'll call it the second Union Station. I don't know if it was the second one or not. I don't really believe any of that.
No, they do that. They try to lay them out like that for us. First one, second one, third one. Yeah. And the first Union Station supposedly burned to the ground, and then they removed this big archway that was there. They have pictures of it, but I don't even think that it was actually in that location. I think it was in a separate location in Denver, and then that other one was also there, and the one burned to the ground. They demolished it and moved it, and now they say that it was just the one. And so many generations have passed that there's nobody to even tell the truth. There's nobody that can verify anything at all. And so this is the Loretto Girls School again. Of course, we've got the Vanilla Skies everywhere. This is one of my favorite buildings in Denver. You can see it from halfway across the city, no matter where you are. It's so big. That's on the front now, right?
Yes, this is the front entrance. You're actually facing southwest in this picture. It's actually more like west south in this picture, and the mountains are supposed to be behind this, and you can't see anything at all. So they had to have whited this out just for that purpose.
Of course,
they photo editing technology existed for so long. It came along with the ability to take photos, and so now we've got supposed blueprints, which any architect can draw up some blueprints after it's already built. That's super easy to do.
Yeah, easier than doing it before it's built.
Oh, way easier.
It's tracing. It's almost like tracing, but you're shrinking it down in size.
Yes. And it's so much easier because, let's take a black and white, let's up the contrast, and let's change the darking, and then now we can just sketch over it. Now we got a blueprint.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's, let me go back to the top of this page here, because that's most of Colorado on this one.
Yeah, they seem to be these like complexes, like these groups of buildings and complexes on these big pieces of property.
Yes, absolutely. And then I'll show this one because I love this. This is not the service school. They don't have, there's nothing here for them. This is the Denver Capitol building.
Yeah.
And that's the clock tower that's on 16th Street. Like I said, I grew up here in Denver. I know this area better than probably anybody I know. I've been in most of these buildings. I was in some of these buildings when I was younger before they were completely removed. And the Brown Palace is right down the road here.
Can you zoom in a little bit? Can you zoom that?
Yeah.
Let's go in a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
So this is the new, quote unquote second Capitol building for Colorado, since they supposedly had the other one burned down. Which of course, they all burned down. There's fire narrative everywhere.
We're gonna get to that too, right?
Yes, we're definitely gonna get to the Denver fire.
So that clock tower is still there?
That clock tower still exists, but it used to be a massive building that stretched back. It was an entire city block, and now it is nothing but the clock tower itself. It's only this building.
They stripped it naked. I've seen that done in many other places as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is completely gone.
Yeah.
They redid the whole interior to that building.
And again, it must have been a bell tower. They call them a clock. They call them clock towers, but I wonder if the clock was done after. Like it's
and I have that belief too, because they weren't way back then. They weren't using clocks. They were using pocket watches. And before pocket watches, what did we have? We had sundials. We had sundials.
We were so primitive.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A sundial, it never lies.
Isn't that how Eratosthenes finds out that the Earth is spherical with some sort of sundial stick or something?
It was supposedly what he did is in two different towns he took sticks and had them stood up and then measured the shadows, and supposedly that proved that the Earth was round. Now, I absolutely do not believe that. My computer
We're taught that as kids. That's one of the big anchors on that narrative is that storyline. And they have him in sandals with his toga. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Right. They're wearing bed sheets. Yeah.
that's so funny.
When I learned about that in school, I'm like, how does this make any sense? You really guys, you believe this?
We're being punked. We're being punked.
Yeah, we're at every turn. In science, in history, in chemistry, even the fact that my son brought up
geology.
The fifth element, ether, in school, and all of the teachers, they don't want to talk about it, and so he brings up of course he brings up the timeline of the build of the buildings. They don't want to talk about that. He knows about. He's 9 years old. He's not afraid to ask these questions.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that he's latched onto this. He understands this probably better than we ever will.
He'll grow into it.
He's been taught from a young age that the only thing that matters is that he learns how to read and write and how to do math, and that's it. That's the only thing that matters.
I can relate. I can totally relate. Yeah. The rest of it is BS.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I've been into some of these structures. One of these churches I got to go into. It's on I think it's 24th and Federal, the church that's up there, and the pastor there, he lit me in to the inside of the top of one of the parts of the building where you can see how they actually built these things.
Oh yeah.
We don't build like that. There's no way. It would be impossible for us to even attempt that. So this was St. Mary's Academy, and this was
another St. Mary's Street. The other one was Colorado Springs, right?
Yeah. The other one was Colorado Springs. This one's long gone. Absolutely gorgeous building.
Guess what primary school I went to?
Don't tell me St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, you got it.
Oh, wow.
They're everywhere. They're
They
everywhere.
are everywhere. They're in every single state. Every single state has one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Nice window in the front of that.
Oh, yeah. This is absolutely gorgeous building. I do believe this is the only picture that they have of this. They had the cymatics even in the little windows.
Mm-hmm.
This
and the
this
doors.
building is
Look at the
yeah.
doors. They have them in there. Wow. Oh, did you freeze?
Oh, can you hear me?
Hey, you're back. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, these doors, you can tell that they're 10 feet tall. These doors are absolutely massive.
Yeah, that looks like a transom above the doors, actually, that half circle window above the doors right there.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, it does.
Is this one gone? Did they demolish this? Or?
Yeah, this is long gone. It was gone in 1950.
Urban renewal?
Urban. That was an urban renewal building. Of course it was.
Of course
it just wasn't meeting their standards.
That's right. What a scam.
This was St. Vincent de Paul. This is another building that's long gone. Mm-hmm. That was another one of those urban renewals you'll see down here on the right side. And it's long gone. Gorgeous brick pattern in the top up here.
Yeah.
These
are they charitable?
Incredible.
Do they use them as charitable organizations down there too? We have one here as well, so that's why I ask. So
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I do know that I'm starting my own nonprofits here real soon. So
it's a good idea for sure.
Yeah, it's huge because my idea is I want to help fathers that are in need, because that's something that it just doesn't exist in our society out here in the United States. We don't have that. We have everything dedicated to women, and all more power to them, because typically they're the ones that end up raising the children. But when the fathers need help, there is no help. And I absolutely am big time into helping, and I really want to be able to do that.
Good point. Yeah. No.
So this was Inglewood St. Mary's. This is gone too. Beautiful, beautiful statue. And I'm guessing
another St. Mary's?
That was, another St. Mary's. And I'm guessing that this was also a fountain around the bottom base of this.
I would wager that for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of Venetian fountains here in the Denver area. I mean, a lot of them. Even one of the cemeteries here on 38th and Wadsworth, they have a Venetian fountain that's been buried that was inside of the grounds of the cemetery. And when I heard about that and saw it, I have video on my channel of that one. It makes no sense. It's absolutely insane to even think that and it looks like there's buildings that were buried in the ground. It's so very bizarre.
Well, I've heard a few theories on the fountains. I'd like to get your take on it. People have drawn correlations with the fountains being a cooling source or a grounding source for the energetics. If the old grid system was using energy, there had to be some sort of way to ground it back in. And some people have hypothesized that a lot of these fountains were a part of that system. I don't know if you have any insight on that.
That would make a lot of sense. Like, I used to repair electronics and machines, and I've built electrical systems for all kinds of different things. And that would make a lot of sense, because just a little tiny bit of salt and water, and you have a really, really good conductor. And that would make a really good, explanation as to all these fountains would be a grounding source. And at the same time, they could also use it for electrolysis and also purify the water.
Interesting. Yeah, clean the water. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And then they went in and turned them into war monuments. A lot of them have been turned
into. All across Denver, there's war monuments that are fountains. Yeah. So So this was Fort Collins St. Joseph's School. Fort Collins, teeny tiny little school chapel here.
Yeah.
And there's another thing that I've been looking into is these micro churches. There's several micro churches in Colorado. And when I mean micro, I mean they're smaller than a garage.
Kind of strange, right?
And this is the Pueblo Loretto Academy here, this building, which I'm guessing that this is gone. I've never seen this building ever.
Pueblo. I don't even know if I had that in my video. I just did a Pueblo video. It must have been in there, but maybe I missed it.
Yeah, this is another gorgeous building. Absolutely gorgeous architecture. They have the pointed arches above the windows.
Oh yeah, that's
That it
amazing.
seems to be that this was a going style in Colorado with these pointed arches. A lot of the buildings that are still left, they have those.
Interesting. So not the rounded tops. You mean where they come to a point, but they're still
Yeah.
shaped pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that is it's definitely a going theme here and so this would be a picture of the back of the school here. And it's
Okay.
got the same
Yeah.
type of architecture on the top here with these
Yeah.
pop outs as the one up in Denver does.
Yeah.
It's very very interesting because so it says that this was 1911 to 1920 here. So they it was only active for what, 9 years?
Wow.
That really doesn't make any sense. If this was only active for 9 years, why did they even have this? It's so bizarre. It just makes absolutely no sense.
I got a question for you. Have you looked into the Broadmoor Hotel?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes. The Broadmoor that is another one that makes absolutely no sense. Totally illogical. They found it. Then they added whatever they wanted to it, and that was pretty much it.
In Denver?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And same thing with the Brown Palace Hotel. I've been in there. That Brown Palace is actually linked to the tunnels underground. They won't let you in them, but it is linked to the tunnels underground.
Now I'm remembering back to my Denver video, and I'm pretty sure it was the Brown Palace where I found an old postcard, and it was the flat map that they were giving out.
That is. I just watched that like about a month ago with my son.
Okay.
Yeah. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So then this was the Pueblo St. Lander School. Of course, this is long gone. This could have been a county building.
Mm-hmm.
It easily could have been a county building with the way that it looks.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Perfectly built.
Absolutely. And none of these, there's not one error in any of these buildings. There never is.
Yeah, they're perfect. And they don't get dilapidated unless they let them get dilapidated, unless they become neglected. And
the only reason they get dilapidated is probably from vandalism, is my guess, because I've looked into this, and there's a lot of these buildings, they get vandalized, and the vandalism only started after the 1950s.
Yeah, interesting. I have this whole theory of World War II being a real hinge point on our consciousness as well. Something happened during whatever we call World War II was like a Men in Black mind wipe.
Absolutely. It could have been one of those CIA funded programs that I know if I'm talking about this alive will get shut down. So.
Okay, be careful.
Believe me, I've been researching all this stuff myself. I know what to not talk about. Believe me, you'll see me walking past we'll call them the M temples, and I won't even mention their names. I won't even talk about them. That it gets your videos banned. It gets you shadow banned. Yeah. I don't have any room for shadow banning in my life.
There's some power. There's some power structure there for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this image was from 1937 here, and this is in Wyoming. And this building, I know this building is gone for sure. There's no question. I went up to Wyoming and did videos in Wyoming in the summer last year with my son. Had absolutely so much fun doing this. And a lot of these buildings, they're gone. They're long gone. So there's only that one and this one for Wyoming. Unfortunately, they've only got these two, but this is another one of those beautiful buildings. They've got the cartouche up here. They've got the insanely detailed archway and pediment.
So I would suggest that this is heavily modified, this building with the roof line behind to either side of that. I guaranteed they chopped it down and they put a gable.
Yeah, where they sliced it off right here at the top. Yeah. They removed everything because the rounded edges on this is a Moorish architecture for sure.
Yeah.
I've been, like I said, 3 years of watching these videos and watching Lucius Aurelian, which I absolutely love his channel too.
Yep. Shout out.
Absolutely, shout out to Lucius. I love Lucius. He's a great guy. Yeah. I participate in his lives all the time. I'm always there watching, commenting. And so, after he gets really into depth about the actual designs and architecture and what they call them. And
Mhm.
who knows the truth about that? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know who built these. They're just naming this stuff. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
There's no reality behind it. We don't know what these really are and who really built them.
Mhm.
They just slap a name on it and call it this, and then everybody's just labeled that until they change the name, and then they might relabel it after they change the name of the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so these ones,
this
is in Texas. This is a building that was built in 1925. That's what it says. It's 1925. Still has the bell tower, which that's actually really impressive because
interesting.
most of the bells are completely gone from these places. Texas
So
had
go ahead.
this is all Loretto schools.
Okay.
So they owned a lot of these, or well, I'd say they found them because they never owned them. The ownership comes with architectural skills in building them. They don't own these.
They consecrated them.
Yes, yeah, they sure did. And this was the St. Patrick's School, and this reminds me of one of the buildings that is here in Denver that I did a video on my channel with the way that the bricklay is cut in on here.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks maybe even like they removed the top of this building as well.
Yeah, it does. It's interesting.
But I've gone through all of these, and then see we got some older photos. This is an absolutely gorgeous black and white right here. Really, really detailed photo.
Bit of an angle on the street there.
Yeah. Definitely a lot shorter here than we have on the left side. On the right side, it's way shorter.
Mm-hmm.
None of this makes any sense. So you don't build on a hill like that, and then you don't recover the building up. It just that's absurd to even think about that.
And I think newcomers to this have a lot of trouble wrapping their heads around how could they actually distort history, and like they think everybody was deceived all at the same time. And I think this was like a multi-generational process that's still going on to this day, actually.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. It's, as a matter of fact, the more they rename the buildings, the less we're ever going to remember.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the key to all of this is change the name once, wait a generation, change the name again. Now nobody knows what it is at all.
Okay, what the heck is this? What church is this?
No, this is a school.
What?
Yeah, this is a school. This is the El Paso St. Patrick's School. Yeah.
I thought for sure that they were positioned out front of a cathedral somewhere.
No, this is a school.
Crazy.
This is the opposite side of that same school we just looked at. This is the front entrance. Yeah.
Okay.
Either they had the skill and they went all out, or they went and found the buildings that were the most detailed and they took them all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we know.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious. And then so now this is the church that they had.
Oh yeah.
It looks like a castle, of course. Got to have the castle church. And there's several of these in Denver too that have these the parapets on the top, and that they look just like castles.
And the little tower though, that's interesting.
Yeah,
thumb sticking out almost.
The very top up there. Yeah, right here. They've got the tower with the cupola with the dome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see that building? It means hit the thumbs up. It's a symbol for thumbs up. Yeah. Interesting though, like the little corner piece. It's interesting. It really jumps out at you, right? Because it's not symmetrical with the rest of the build.
Yes, and usually you see these buildings, they're completely symmetrical, both sides exactly the same. And even on this one, you see that we've got the inlay here, and then there isn't one on this side. So it's this one was definitely a different type of building. It may have been from a later era of the builders that did build these, which we all know that's not us. Or this right here, split down the center of this line. This was an add-on to this building. Which I'm noticing a lot of that on my boots on the ground.
Yeah.
They're built side by side, so close together with so close of materials that they look identical. You can't tell the difference until you walk up and you measure the grout lines. You measure the mortar lines between the bricks, and you'll find out they're not the same building. Yeah,
that's interesting. Here's a question. What do you think of this, Eric? So Robbie V says, why did the bells get collected/removed? Were they that significant? What's your take on the bells? Do you have a theory on that?
The bells created a frequency harmonic resonance, which I've been studying frequency for the last 20 years of my life. And it's all about frequency. If they can change and alter the frequency completely everywhere, because think about this, like at 12 o'clock, you have the bells going off in this whole section of the world. And it's a sweeping wave across the plane that we live on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Reharmonizes the frequency all the way around the entire center of where we live, around Mount Meru, and which then that vibrates itself and it sends back
like
out
a tuning fork.
frequency. Yes,
like
exactly.
So it picks up the vibration and sends it back out.
Yes.
Wow.
And if they didn't remove those, then our consciousnesses wouldn't be altered the way they are now.
That's pretty profound. I appreciate you sharing that. That's really interesting.
Like I went to college for metaphysics in 2014, and spiritual science and science of the mind. I've done a lot of research and a lot of study on that myself. I absolutely love the ability that we create our own reality with our thoughts, because everything that we see out in front of us is how we feel inside our minds. So then this is another beautiful St. Joseph's Academy in El Paso, Texas. Of course, this is long gone, long gone. This is the postcard they had for it. Absolutely gorgeous red brick. I love the red brick buildings. All of Denver used to be red brick buildings, as a matter of fact. And there's some early postcards of Denver. It's solid red brick all the way across the entire city. Even my mother's home that I grew up in, solid red brick. Everything all the way down the street, though, not red brick.
Interesting. Well, red brick seems to be the building block of our realm almost.
It absolutely does. And I do believe that the red brick that they had for the buildings here in Denver was harvested where Red Rock's amphitheater in Golden is.
Yeah.
I believe that's, as a matter of fact, that is how they got all the red brick. They harvested it from that location, and now there's an amphitheater there. They built an amphitheater there.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't get enough of this research and get enough of seeing these places. I got my passport last year just so I could leave the country to go and see these places.
Yeah, awesome. Can you do you want to dive into the Great Fire? Am I jumping too far ahead here, or is it?
No, absolutely. We can definitely jump into that. I did a bunch of research months ago about the Great Fire of Denver, which the Great Fire of Denver is a very interesting one because it was the centennial of the United States establishing that it was its own sovereign nation, and so 100 years after, 1776, we got 1876. Now Colorado's a state. Now, before it was even a state, it had a Great Fire. It's super bizarre, and there's 2 photos in existence of the Great Fire of Denver. Actually, let me see here if I can share that with you guys. Do you want to pull up my Great Fire video?
Yeah, I'll look it up right now. And also I'll pull your screen off, and for those of you guys just joining us or just hopping in wondering who the heck this guy is with all this really good information, this is Erik, and his channel is Lost and Found History Rewritten. I certainly suggest you go sub to his channel and follow his work. Does some awesome boots on the ground. And with all that, what am I searching up again?
So it's that yellow one in the center.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
this is your intro, which I thought was pretty cool too.
So we'll start off right here. It destroyed 70 buildings, which is insane because Colorado wasn't even a state until after 1863. You can see that there. It's absolutely insane to even think that they had established all of this within just a few years, and then they built all of these buildings. There's no way. There's no way. There was no railroad that came here until many, many years later. The railroad was not established here. So how did they get all this here? How did they get it everywhere? Supposedly horses and wagons. There's no way. There's no way.
So is it safe to say Denver's a narrative breaker? a backbreaker
Yeah,
for the narrative. I think San
absolutely.
Francisco is. Narrative. Denver's a good one too, I think.
Absolutely. You walk the streets of Denver and you see all these buildings. They're Art Deco buildings. We've got a couple of the last Aztec theaters here in Colorado, which I think that there's only 7 of them left in the country, these Aztec Art Deco theaters.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 of them are here in Colorado. But if you keep going through this video,
I'll get to here we go.
So this is what they'll tell us that Denver looked like in 1860. In 1860, guys, there was teepees and there was maybe 2 or 3 houses. But then we get this, and this is 1859. We supposedly have a road map, a street map of the city.
10 years later? Or
no, this was a year prior to that.
What?
Yes.
Oh, say that all again. We're going to go back. Say it to me slowly. Go.
This map right here of the layout of the city, the grid system,
okay,
is
hold on.
1859, and this is 1860.
What?
They are definitely not giving us the true story of this. It took me a week to find this.
It reminds me of John Levi's work with what he did with San Fran. There's some crazy parallels going on here.
So right where you've got that marker right there, that's supposedly where the Great Fire started, was just south of the rivers where they meet there on the left end down there where that little row of houses are. That's where the fire started. And that's just down. And there, see, now we've got Cherry Creek, and Cherry Creek bridges into the South Platte right there in the middle of the city. They have this place called Confluence Park, and this is 1860 again. And now this is where the Great Fire started, was right here. And it absolutely makes literally no sense when you start looking into this. They say that inside of a tape.
Do you find the closer you look, the more absurd it becomes, right?
Yes, the deeper you dig into this, the more it starts to sound like just nonsense, and it's just a child's story.
And the only way you can ridicule this research is by not investigating it. If you just decide to do zero research and just ridicule the person bringing you that information, it's the only way. Once you dig any deeper than the surface layer, you're in with the rest of us, I think.
Oh yes, and that's, as a matter of fact, I use the build of the Denver Capitol building to introduce people to this. That it was built in the late 1800s and 1890s. No construction photos. Built in 3 years. There's tunnels underneath it to connect it to buildings that are 20 years older than it, and people look at me. Wait, no construction photos? No construction photos. Not a single one. Not in the building, not in the archives, nowhere. I can't find a single construction photo. And they look at me and they go, wait a minute, in 3 years? I said, yep, and before power tools. That their jaw hits the floor.
You're piling on, man. You're piling on. They're just boom, boom, boom.
Their jaw hits the floor. And that's when I tell them I have a channel and I investigate all this stuff. I research all this. And that's when they're like, so you research all this stuff? I'm like, I absolutely research all of this stuff. That none of it makes sense. Yeah. And so this is supposed to be a picture of downtown Denver with a rally of wagons. If you take a look at the ground here underneath the horses, there are no wagon. There's almost no wagon tracks. Where did how did all these wagons get pulled in? Were they added in afterward? Are these an afterthought that was added in?
You would have big circle of ruts in the dirt there for that.
Oh yeah, it would be super heavily, and the boards that the horses are standing on, they would be covered in dirt and mud, and it would be completely caked and it'd be completely visible. None of that makes any sense.
Well, the horses in the foreground clearly look like they're superimposed on whatever we're looking at. They're probably giving us a fake street, to be honest with you. They're making it look like Old West,
Yeah, and that, as we all know, when you research this, the Old West never existed. There was no such thing as the Old West. This cowboys and Indians thing, it never existed. The law was here from the beginning. It was always like that. Nothing has changed. And the only thing that's changed is what they're giving us for technology. That's the only thing that's changed. And and of course, the lies of the stories that they're telling us.
Yeah. No, they pounded the Wild West story about 100 years ago or so. Hollywood pounded it, and they sold them in dime stores, right? You could get a Old West novel, the cowboy riding out in the sunset. And like they hammered this narrative into the consciousness, not just here in North America, but people in Europe have a romantic vision. Even Japan's got a romantic vision of the American cowboy.
Oh yeah, and I
You know?
think Mexico South, I in Mexico they do as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. You know what gets me in this photo is these guys on the window here.
yeah. I as a matter of fact pointed that out in this video. It's
Yeah.
super bizarre that these guys are hanging out those windows. It almost looks like these are mannequins in a window.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
something's not right about it.
these buildings are extremely old. This is
Yeah.
supposed to be one of the first 5 photos of Denver.
Wow. They've been
And
around a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
a long time. You can see exactly how damaged the side of that building in exact center is. It's been there for 20, 25 years, maybe 50 years.
Yeah, this
And
one
then
here.
yeah, that one right there.
Mhm.
The newest building I would say that's sitting there is the one on the far left in front of the horses,
Right here.
because that is a wooden building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
that would be what we would build. What they built was across the street.
that's historical narrative right there.
Yeah,
And you know what's funny is
absolutely.
they put these up in these like historic parks. You go to a lot of these towns and they'll give you like the old west narrative, and they'll have a corral, and they'll have a couple of these old wooden houses, you know, that
Oh
they
yeah,
put
yeah,
together. That's the history. And you know, all of the bricks came later, guys. We promise
yeah,
it's not in
yeah.
reverse.
I'm so sure. Yeah, no kilns, but they got bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
That's
so
pretty
the
funny.
next one. This is an image of the damage from the Great Fire of Denver. They're
Did he
going to
say?
tell us that this happened in 1864. That's only 4 years after there was nothing here.
Mhm.
So there's a castle in the background. They built a castle in 4 years, and all of these stone structures that are completely collapsed. This looks just like a World War II photo. I mean, I'm almost identical.
To Dresden.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and so they're telling us that this was the Great Fire of Denver. I have serious doubts about that, and none of these buildings still exist. I
hmm
have high degrees of doubt that this was even taken in Denver.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point. And he said this is. Did you say this is the only one that is really available,
This is
or
the
is it?
only photo of the destruction of the Great Fire of Denver. The only photo in existence.
hmm Yeah, that's probably why I don't think I found it on my video. Did I? It's been a while since I've seen it, but I watched this video of yours just the other day, and kind of I thought, because I dig deep into all the great fires, and I've looked around, I looked hard. I didn't know about Denver, or
I
I've forgotten.
I didn't know about it until like probably about 4 or 5 months ago. Somebody
Mhm.
said, Denver had a great fire. I'm like, wait, Denver had a great fire? I Googled it. Yeah, Denver had a great fire. And it took me months to find this picture. This
hmm
picture was not easy to find.
hmm hmm Interesting how that works. All right, we'll keep going on the video.
All right.
Yeah, so yeah, it looks like we've got a bit of a church, you might say, or a school. Hard to tell with all these old narratives.
Yeah,
Somewhat intact.
it's very hard to tell what is actually sitting in this photo because one, it's way overexposed, and two, it's the only thing you can see is just the white skies. You can't tell where this is. You can't tell what these are. That may have been one of these old castles that were built in Colorado that are now churches. I don't know. I can't find this building anywhere. And
Yeah.
I used to be last year at the very beginning of the year and the end of the year prior to that. I was an Amazon driver downtown Denver driving one of the blue trucks around. So I got to see literally everything when I started all of this.
Yeah.
And that's how I found all of these buildings was just I got to deliver to a lot of these schools that are real old. That the narrative on these schools is it's all BS. It's all BS. They were here. It almost looks like that these were safe haven asylums for whatever happened, for whatever destroyed everything.
Now I'm just curious, when you were doing this driving, were you already aware of the old world?
Oh yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Before I started working for Amazon, that was part of the reason why I wanted to start working for Amazon was because I knew I was going to get to see all kinds of places I've never been. I was going to drive down every single street in a whole city,
Yeah.
and that a lot of my so one of my videos is old world Denver mansions,
hmm
and that was that's one of my favorite videos that I did. I got to deliver to half of those mansions, and that's how I know they exist. They're on like First and Race Street and First and Gaylord Street in Denver. They they defy all logic, all logic.
You mind if I throw some of that on? Or
Yeah, please. So I do believe. Yep, it's that one.
Okay, here. Me and my tech wizardy. So if you're just tuning in, this is Erik, Lost and Found History Rewritten, and we're checking out some of the videos on his YouTube channel. You need to give him a sub if you're into the old world stuff, and even if you're not into the old world stuff, you will be. Believe me, you will be. Okay, so you're taking us here. I'll
this is me doing the walk through this giant neighborhood. These buildings defy all logic. And
now
I can't get any information about any of these buildings. Nothing anywhere.
Is this an affluent area? It looks like it.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's a closed residential neighborhood.
Okay.
It looks like the gates have been removed too. It's absolutely gorgeous area. If you're ever in Denver, I recommend going to this area and just taking a walk, to having a nice walk through this neighborhood. These are the most gorgeous houses I have ever seen in my life.
That looks a bit melty to me. Look, the bricks look a bit wavy.
Yes, in the center there, it's the way that they built this up above, you can see that the bricks, they don't have a pattern, a real true pattern. It's almost like they recycled these bricks from another building.
Hey, can I get one of my mods to drop a link to the channel? The link is in the description, but one of my trusty troll catchers, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah. Yeah, these are old. They got the nice archways. They've got the bricks. Look at the chimney.
Oh, yeah, and the chimneys are all ornate. Every single one of them in this whole neighborhood, every single one of them is all ornate.
Spectacular.
I've been to the front and the back side of this house delivering. At this time, I was only drove out there in my car, did all these videos because this is another one of the gorgeous buildings. You can't even get close to this building because they've got a wall that goes all the way around this whole building.
Thanks, Kairos. Appreciate it. Yeah, look at that, eh? The herringbone.
It's got the salmon pattern. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous building.
Cool.
By the way, shout out to all the admins. We absolutely love you guys.
And everybody watching, really. This is we got about 200 in here. So I appreciate you guys joining us here on a Tuesday evening. And if you're watching the replay, I hope you're enjoying the content. Erik's obviously quite knowledgeable, and I'm pleased to present him here on my channel. And I think you'll be able to watch this on your channel as well, right? You'll be broadcasting as well.
Yes, I will absolutely be putting this on my channel.
Yeah. So this whole neighborhood's got, each property is sort of walled off with bricks. It looks like
every single one of these, they either have a brick wall in front of them, or it's a smaller building that's closer up against the street. But they're all these old world castles. They're absolutely insane. The brick patterns are incredible. Every inch of the house is ornate and detailed. And it's illegal now to modify these structures. Okay. You cannot touch these structures. They're all on the National Register of Historic Places.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you can't touch them. I'm so glad I found that out when I was delivering to one of these houses to one of the women that was living there. And she said she was having structural issues and they don't know how to fix it because they can't modify it.
Oh, well, maybe that's not so good then, because maybe it can get to the point where it's beyond repair. I don't know.
Well, the whole thing is the one that she was living in, it looked like it was probably maybe 50 years newer than these ones.
Interesting.
So it could have possibly been from our era of time of building and not the time of when these were actually built.
Yeah. Can you give us some Denver backstory off the top of your head? Are you, I know the silver rush, right? Gold rush, silver rush.
So the gold rush and silver rush started in the mid 1800s, and the silver rush started in Silver Plume, which I backpack through Silver Plum all the time. I love the wilderness here. I'm a wilderness survival expert as well. I've spent a lot of time in the wilderness here. They're saying that the silver rush started here in Silver Plume, which is just north of Georgetown. And
so what's Silver Plume? Is it what is it, a town or what?
It's this tiny little town where there's maybe 50 people living.
Okay.
And that's supposedly where the silver rush started here. And so the gold rush started further up in the mountains, closer to Breckenridge and Keystone. But they're saying that that's why.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So this is one of the newer ones. This is the one where the woman was living that I talked to.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's a really, really neat turret, front entry turret.
Yeah, no kidding. I talked to this woman for 20 minutes while I was working. This building is just drop dead gorgeous. I would love to have something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can't get somebody to build something like that nowadays. If it's not prefab, you're not getting it.
What is the roof made of? Does that cedar shakes or?
I'm pretty sure that those are cedar. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And copper all around it's nice for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, gorgeous building.
So you back behind.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go. You go. Sorry.
So back behind that tree back there in the center of the house, there's another one of those pop outs, those circular pop outs that looks like a turret.
Okay.
And so then this building, this is the biggest building in that entire neighborhood. As a matter of fact, I think this is the biggest house in Denver.
Really? Interesting.
Yes, this wall is a good 150 years old, 200 years old. But this building this house looks like something you'd see over in Europe.
Yeah, look at the front gate even. Oh.
Yeah, it's super ornate. Every inch of this thing is decorated.
I love the lights here on this even.
And I'm pretty sure that those lights used to be oil lanterns. And they had them converted into those.
And then you wonder about the oil lanterns, and were they converted into oil lanterns? Was it something before? Was it a part of a different system? I wonder.
Yeah, that does bring into question the fact that they had electrical technology during the same time that they had the oil lanterns on these buildings. Mm-hmm. So were they actually using oil lanterns? Was it gas lanterns? Or was it electricity they were getting for free? And that's where it brings into question what they were really doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is nice too. You got a slate roof, and you've got this really, really elaborate chimney.
Oh yeah, and from the other side of that chimney, it is so detailed going up and down the sides of that. This is a really, really nice chimney right here.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I almost hit the floor when I saw that the first time. I'm like, what is that?
It's like something out of Lord of the Rings or something.
Yeah, no kidding.
The shape of it is crazy, and I'm trying to figure out function on that too. Like I'm looking for some sort of venting or fireplace. I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah, it's a very interesting looking chimney topper. The ornate detail on that one, it's because it's way different than this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But look at that. Everything is just.
Oh yeah, and every window is surrounded by brick or stone. Every single window.
Yeah, and the corners usually too. You see this quite often, actually, on the outside corners and around the openings. You have that contrast.
Yeah, and that right there in its own, that balcony,
whew,
that defies everything that we know as construction today. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could have gotten up closer to actually take up close pictures of that, because that it's so detailed that you can't tell what it really is from that far away. Even with the highest definition setting on my camera on my 15 Pro Max, I can't get that. I can't get that detail on it.
Interesting. Yeah, and you just have to imagine, like, I don't know, I bet you the timeline on this is probably the 20s, 30s. Do you think they have
I'm pretty sure that it was the 10s, the 1910s.
Okay. Yeah. So who's manufacturing this stuff at that period of time, specifically for this shaped balcony, right?
Yeah, because there's only one of these, and I've never seen anything like this anywhere else in Denver at all, anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Must have been some Italian heritage or some European heritage. They always weave that into the story too, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Or it was the Scottish that came and did it.
The Scots, the mad Scots.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's another one that, or the Irish. They love to use those 3 and 4 to explain away all these buildings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just like they do with the railroad. They always say the Chinese built the railroad. I don't know if that's your narrative down there, but up here in Canada, the Chinese built the railroad. That's just.
Oh no! So in Colorado, as a matter of fact, we didn't have a railroad until the 1870s here. There was no railroad, nothing at all. It was horse and wagon everywhere. And then they got a railroad that went from Cheyenne to Denver that they had to install themselves. Yeah, that's the narrative behind that.
Have you ever heard of the railroad construction race? Where they have they're doing like 10 miles of railroad a day trying to meet each other?
Yeah, I have heard about that.
That's a good one.
That goes right along the lines with the narrow gauge railroad change, when they changed from being the short gauge or the small gauge to the wide gauge in like a 12-hour period. That is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. I looked into that and I went, it was logistically impossible.
Yeah,
they could have had millions of people working on it and it still wouldn't have happened.
Logistically impossible. That's a good way to put it. Right. Just like when I see streetcars in every city I look at, it doesn't matter how small that town was, how large the city was, they all had the streetcar infrastructure. Their roads were all 4-lane highways with already, you know.
Oh yeah. And Denver is no exception to that. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the streetcar used to come out to 14th and Wadsworth. I remember the track being there when I was a little kid, and they changed it. They dug up the track to put in the light rail in that same exact location.
Yeah, interesting. So the infrastructure is already there, basically, and they know it.
Yes, yeah, that's how they got away with this. The infrastructure was there. The cobblestone roads were there. The brickstone roads were there. They paved over them everywhere. There's tons of videos in all these cities where the streets run down, falling apart, and you can see that there's brick underneath the streets. It's everywhere.
Yeah. See that? You know what's funny? So I even saw that. You see it in video games. I think one of my kids was playing like a Ninja Turtles. There it is, and you could see they actually depict that too, where you can see the brick coming through the paved streets. Actually, depict a lot of old world structures as well. So it's in a lot of our. It's like subliminally put into everything through movies and video games.
Oh, absolutely.
All the rest of it, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think in one of the Resident Evil games, I think that you can see the brick underneath the pavement in the street too.
Yeah, interesting. So, yeah, once you know to look for it, and then you start to see it in everything. But the problem is when you start to see it, you don't really want to watch what they're giving us anymore. I don't really have an appetite for movies anymore, or things like video games. It's like a catch-22.
I don't. The only type of video games I play is racing video games. You put me in a car, I'm cool. I'm good to do that. But every other type of video game, I can't do it. I can't watch like movies that are acted out with people. If it's animation, I could probably watch it because the world of animation, that's not our reality at all. That's
the old world that's what I do now. This is like how I relax is like searching, for my pictures and postcards and narratives and all that kind of stuff. It's my pastime. People, I could get made fun of it easily for being obsessed with it, right? But it's like something that's got to get out, right? When you see it, you want everyone to feel this too, what you're seeing.
Oh, absolutely. I want this narrative exposed so we can learn our true history. That's the whole key to all of this is to learning our true history, because we do not know our true history. And there's a good chance that the only way we're going to discover it is by force. And I hate to say that, but they're never going to tell us the truth unless we take it.
Yeah, I think it's like a 100th monkey effect myself. It's like if enough people have the courage to step outside of away from the herd, kind of like what happened over the last couple of years, eventually enough people's like, I don't want to follow this anymore because this is not a positive direction that we're heading in. If enough people can do that with our history and with who we are, I think we can just walk away from it at some point, I think.
Oh, easily. Yeah. I completely agree with that.
But there's also the NPC narrative, which worries me. It's like, is that a real thing? It's like, are there like NPC entities here that actually don't have consciousness or can't tap into consciousness?
That is very, very scary, that idea.
It is.
I absolutely believe, because they say that they're saying that 50% or more of people don't have their own voice playing inside of their head when they think.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that lead you to believe that is the type of consciousness that would be an NPC? You don't have that thing in there talking to you, answering your questions, leading out these perceptions that you have, these ideas, and
Mhm.
leading into a stream of thought that produces a positive future. It's
Yeah.
just you're just going along with whatever there is.
Yeah.
That I learned about that in metaphysics in college. That's a very scary thing because
Mhm.
I don't really know anybody that has that. I don't really associate with anybody that I've ever known that has had that, where there's nothing inside the head.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's that really does scare me, because that's if narcissism is real, which, oh, believe me, it is. Those are the people that have narcissism, because it's just playing out for their greater good and nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the good person in me wants to believe that everyone has a choice to turn the switch on or off. But maybe there is an element of NPC. Maybe it goes back to the whole clone thing. Maybe this is way. I'm sure this is way deeper than we realize. Put it that way.
Oh,
That's
oh,
one thing I do
I'm
know.
yes,
Yeah.
it goes so deep into consciousness and into thought and into the vibration of our reality. It's actually really scary when you really look deeper into it. That there is a reality out there that it's just take and take and take, and you're not giving back, and nobody's giving back.
And you know what
I don't
you know
live
what I
my
like
life
about
like that.
no, well, what I like about the old world is that we're peeking into a past that is way richer, way warmer, way more vibrant than the past that they've painted out for us.
Oh,
That's where
absolutely.
this is so empowering, this research, I think.
Well, just walking into one of these buildings, it literally gives you this energetic experience while being in the building of something that is much, much greater than you ever will be. And
Mhm.
that was the inspiration for, I'm sure, for the construction of these buildings to begin with, was just that in its own. Just because to walk in through the doors of this and
Mhm.
experience the energy that these things create is empowering. It is enlightening. It's comfortable for your soul, for your
Mhm.
spirit, for your mind.
Mhm.
And the more they destroy these things, the less we're ever going to experience that. I've
Mhm.
actually, as a matter of fact, it is my goal to actually have a white marble structure similar to what we have been looking at built in the next 20 years. I'm going to actually find a way to commission that.
Okay. Whew. That's a serious undertaking.
I am
How many?
very serious. I have been planning this for a long time. I've been thinking into what I want it to look like. I'm going to have my son help me with the architectural design of the outside of the building, with the
Interesting.
interior layout. My son wants me to build one of these. He knows all about this, just like we do. That
Mhm.
that there's no way it would just be impossible for us to have built these things. I mean,
Yeah. This is.
just this looks like what they would have called an asylum. You know,
Yeah.
they this one of those mega structures that could have been on the Kirkbride plan.
Sure. Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is an academy. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
insanely massive structures.
I was doing a recent search on normal schools, and the same thing started showing up: massive multi-building complexes or buildings attached, and they were calling them normal schools. So all along the same line. So they gave these all different designations, or if you can believe the narrative that they're building these mega castle constructions in the 1800s, if you like.
Yeah, I don't know how you could believe that was happening. And then you look at the world's population in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It's just logistically impossible. There's no logic to anything that we're being told. It's totally and that's the thing. Once you get into this research, the cat's out of the bag.
Hmm.
It can
Yeah.
never go back in. Once you see this, it can never go back in the bag. You can't
Yeah.
be put back into the matrix.
You
It
can't.
just
No. Yeah. It's a good point, right? And everyone participating in the chat, I'm sure most of you watching are in the same category that we are. And that's why I always encourage people to start your own, get it going. If you feel like there's something like bursting out, and you got to share what you found, whether it's on your specific region or if it's a certain subject that you're really into. This is really easy to get going on a YouTube channel. It's a little bit of technology. It's not a huge learning curve, and get out and share what you're seeing, because it's all about sharing. Sharing is caring, they say. Sharing is so, but getting other eyes on it, because look at just Erik and I chatting this evening. We come to conclusions that you would otherwise not come to if you were just thinking about this on your own, right? So the power is in us connecting like this, I think.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that, because the more sound of a structure you have with your thoughts, and you connect with more people, the more it's going to align in frequency. And that's how you uncover the truth. It's through the conglomerate experience of several minds coming to the understanding of something. That's how you expose the truth. It's not individual. You can't do it individually.
Mm-hmm. And then what we're doing with this research is we're trying not to say, I know what that is. We're trying to say, I know what that's not. And
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's I have no idea what these were originally built for. I can only guess upon that, but I do know that what they're telling us is absolutely not the truth.
Yeah, and that's all you need to get going on this journey, I think.
And then so this is what they'll give us as a construction photo. Of course, we've seen this over and over again in this research in this line. They've got scaffolding up all over the place.
Give me some zoom.
It's a stick figure. It's a stick figure.
Can I get a little zoom on that? Or?
Yeah, it's a stick. It's just a stick figure. It doesn't even look like it's really there. It just totally doesn't make any sense.
I love some of the construction photos. You know, they're lazy in their cover up. That's what we're finding out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
And they'll say that was turned into this.
Yeah, of course. They had this. Well, they had the structure of the tower there, right? And they had it braced off. So, of course.
Yeah. I'm so sure. Oh, and here's another one. Here's another good one, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've got this. Yeah. We got these aerial photos. What took these photos?
Yeah.
What was taking these aerial photos of these buildings back then? Yeah. Were they in a plane? Were they in an airship? What were they in? Did they build a ladder up to heaven just so they could take a picture of these? How did they take these photographs? We have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like in the middle of nowhere like that, you know, it's like, yeah, it makes me think of the grid again. I've got some sort of grid. Everything
absolutely.
Yeah. No, this is still Denver?
No, this is in El Paso, Texas.
El Paso, okay, yeah.
Yes. You can see that they have some sort of a fountain out here in the center.
Yes.
It could possibly have been that this was, these could have been ley lines right here. Very well could have possibly been ley lines where they put that fountain, the most energetic spot to charge the water. There's a very good possibility of that. That's something that's always been floating around in my mind, is that they didn't put fountains just everywhere. They put them in select locations intentionally. The old world was everything was done with intent. Absolutely, everything was done with intent.
Yes, we got a comment here saying blimp here. This is one of the things that draws me into this research as well, is trying to imagine a world where blimp or dirigible travel was like a large part of our lives. You see them,
absolutely, absolutely.
And then they had to false flag that one into the ground, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, they happen to have 6 camera crews there at the same time for the Hindenburg. Yeah, no, I don't think so. That makes no sense.
Oh, the humanity, right?
Yeah. And all the words designed to create that sense of fear and distrust. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is another one of these gorgeous buildings. This is in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And it seems almost like Loretto was the one that came and claimed all these buildings with the pop outs. It really does. It's absolutely gorgeous building. There's so many of these. This is the St. Louis School in Oklahoma.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
So, hey, can you show us the nuns there, up real close? I want to scare the viewers for a sec. Let's zoom. So how many of those are dudes? Do you figure? How many of those are dudes?
That's a really good question, because we got a nice good jawline going here.
or how about this one? Let's just have some fun here. Not dudes, but actual asexual beings.
Oh, that is a very valid point,
Hmm.
because so if you look into maybe the history of these buildings, maybe these may have been the beings that controlled them, and
Mm-hmm.
we inherited their photographs, we inherited their technology,
Mm.
and there's a possibility of that. And when you look
That's a creepy
into
one
the
too.
oh yeah,
Try,
oh yeah,
try that one
a lot
too.
of these are really creepy photos.
Yeah.
Like,
Look at on the right there, on the bottom on the right. Oh my God.
oh
What say
yeah,
you, folks? Let's check the chat. Let's get a
yeah.
survey.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Well, this is part of my theory. Is like I'm sort of envisioning, and I'm probably mixing up my imagination with movies I've seen, but you can imagine like them controlling these locations. We know the church had a stranglehold, right? And the government worked hand in hand. Power structure, they were one and the same, right? Government and religion, all coming from the same source, really. And I wonder about. We were talking about NPCs earlier, and then you can get into cloning and all the rest of it. And was there a controlling class? Was there a drone class sent out to control us or to steer us in a certain direction?
Oh,
These are thoughts that I have.
that's a very good conclusion to come to, because do you think that they're going to come out here to do it themselves? Absolutely not. They aren't going to risk their ability to survive what they're doing to the first class of people that are being controlled. There's no way that they're going to play that game. It's you get up close and personal, you could die. And if there's not that many of them, they're not going to play that game. They're going to think it through, think it's smart.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another church here, and just looking at the ground here, we've got a lot of destruction here. A lot of destruction gone on. Just the building is buried halfway.
Yeah.
And they'll tell us they lived in here while they were building this. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that they did. Yeah.
Of course. That's the construction. They could build that, but they couldn't afford to, so they stayed in that. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing they had, the 20 construction engineers, slept in cots in there and then built this every single day.
It looks like the first house in Denver. I remember throwing that in the video too. Supposedly the first ever house. Now, when you do this research and you investigate different locations, these narratives repeat themselves, and that's one of the
everywhere,
things that
everywhere.
The first house was a log cabin with no slope on the roof, and then 2 years later they built this church right next door.
and it only took them 12 months. Yeah, that's the serious error that their stories all have. It's absolutely terrifying to know that we're being told that they built this thing in 2 years or a year.
Yeah.
But today we can't build a house in a year. We can't build a standard,
Well, because we have iPhones.
House.
It's because we have iPhones. That's the reason.
Yeah, that's good explanation.
Yeah. I'm just going to say hi to a few guys in the chat here. A couple of my buddies. Eddie O, there, I seen you in the chat. Whisper Jack's in the chat. And, of course, the moderators. I saw Freya earlier. Kairos jumped in. All people that have come on here on my channel or will.
Oh, yeah. Whisper Jack's got some good videos on his channel as well. And Wiley, I love his videos, too. I plan on doing some videos here in the future, in the summer here with him.
Yeah. Have you seen Eddie O's work where he talks to the AI, he interfaces with the AI? It's pretty crazy.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have to subscribe to that. Because
he basically gets the AI to talk itself into circles, and it basically gives up on the narrative, is what I've seen.
You know what? I have done that myself as well. I asked how long it would take to build the Denver State Capitol without power tools and with horses and wagons, and it tells me 7 years. I'm like, oh, okay, 7 years, right? I'm so sure it was 7 years. It took them 7 years it took them 3 years to build that. So how did they come up with this idea that it was 3 years? If that's what AI will tell us, and AI is not going to lie about anything. It's grabbing its sources from everything it can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then this is New Mexico here, and I do believe that this church is now gone from there. This is from 1879, this photo. So this is real early timeline out there in New Mexico.
It's one place I haven't looked at yet, New Mexico.
New Mexico is very interesting, and it's it's almost like it exists separate from everything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up too. Babylon. This is Steph, a friend of mine. She's been on too. Whisper Jack did a video on the AI manipulation of potential AI manipulation of Civil War photos, and that's a backbreaker for the narrative too. That video.
Oh yeah, I've seen so much of that. So much. Yeah, the photos from the Civil War make no sense. It's everything is staged. Every last little bit of it.
Yeah. Theatrics, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, they told us straight up, the whole world is a stage. So you think they aren't going to stage everything?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. So this is the Santa Fe staircase.
Oh, I've heard of this.
This is the stairway to heaven. This was supposedly built by one guy. It took him a week. There are 0 nails, screws, or anything added to this. It is only wood.
Zoom it, if you don't mind a little bit.
This staircase is. I have yet to go to this place, but I am absolutely going to take a trip here just so I can look at this thing, because it defies all logic.
If this is the same narrative, is this the guy who just showed up into town one day and built it?
Yep.
And then leaves when it's done?
Showed up on a donkey, built it, didn't ask for pay, and left.
I've heard this story before. Look at that.
Look at these. Look at the columns in the back too. Yeah. This
wow.
I don't understand how that. It makes no sense. How could you possibly even consider building a staircase with nothing holding it together? It doesn't make any sense.
He could have installed a handrail for the safety purposes, though.
So apparently now there is a handrail on that, but
it makes sense.
There wasn't. Yeah.
That's crazy. I love that story. Actually, it's a good one.
Yeah, that's one of those stories that completely defies all logic. And so this is the church that it's in.
That's the church. Okay.
This is the church that it's in.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got the sawtooth cut on the corners. That's very classic of what they tell us is supposedly the 1800s, which, and here we got our group of guys posing for our photo back here. Always got to have that. Yeah.
Shadowy figures, the clones. Those are the drones. I'm going to call them the drones.
Yeah. That I can definitely get down with that. That they were sent out from the ones that have control, from the ones that are writing the narrative, and they're the ones that then took control of everything themselves, told us what we're going to believe, what we're going to think, what we're going to do. They wrote our books. So now this, I do believe this is the same church. I do believe.
Yeah.
And that's the railway that they put up on this thing.
I would have
absolutely.
I would have been hesitant to put a screw hole in that thing.
I wouldn't have touched it. That would have been insanity. No, sure. that would have destroyed the whole meaning behind it.
Yeah, and it does. Like you can see, it changes. It's changed it a lot. Just it's the whole presence of it.
Oh no! So that was a different church. That was this church. But of course, we've got our energy collectors here on the corners of this and all the way down the whole building. I've actually been in several that were just like this. Absolutely gorgeous buildings. I absolutely love the architecture of these. The one that I went in on 23rd or like 26th and Federal, they told me that the original church burned down, and then they built that one, and they came in and built it with this, that, and the other thing. And they have 2 construction photos in their book. I need to go back there and do a video on that building. I never did a video on that building. It was the first church I ever went into, asking questions about the build of the church, asking to see historic photos in the church. They let me see all of it. They let me see into parts of the church that nobody's ever allowed to see.
Cool.
And they told me that the bricks that make up the outside of the church are only 2 inches thick. And I said, what? I said, that makes no sense. Of course I didn't argue with the pastor that was there. Of course, because, they're supposed to be there for a good reason. They're taking care of the property. They're running the convent there. They don't truly know the history behind that. They're every so often they're circulated through. They have no idea what's really going on in these places.
I wonder how many people like that are stumbling across this narrative.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I think it's growing. I think the whole world investigations, it is. I want to believe it anyway. I saw a clip recently. I think JT Follows JC shared it. It was Tom Green. You know the comedian Tom Green? He's
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
famous, right? So he's talking about Tartaria and he's talking about old world and mud floods in one of his stand-up routines. Like to me, that's like breaking a barrier um, into that world, right? The normie sphere, the NPC sphere, right? Is getting that narrative into that. That's what I think he was doing with that piece of it in his
Yeah,
comedy show.
because if they get hit with that, then cancel culture is going to get a hold of them.
Yeah, but the energy of the research will naturally draw people in, and if they have the courage to continue to look and not to hide their eyes away, then you can't avoid this at some level. You're gonna have to soak it up, you know.
Yeah, it in somewhere in your mind, it takes place where you're like, wait a minute, there's no construction photos, and they built it in this little time period.
Yeah,
How can that be?
yeah,
That was what initially got me, and then I started going to all these places, and it just made less and less sense as I started learning.
yeah. The more you see, it strengthens your perspective. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And the more you go and touch these things,
Mm,
just experiencing the energy of these,
yeah,
you know that this is not something that we did. There's
yeah.
no way.
Mm,
So here is the one in Santa Fe. That's that spiral staircase that the guy
yeah,
built right there.
yeah, yeah. It does look dangerous. It definitely does look
Oh,
dangerous.
it looks very, very dangerous.
Yeah. The window, though. Look at the window. Yeah, the big cymatic window up there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty ornate.
that the glasswork is absolutely stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single imperfection in any of their architecture anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an indicator that something's not right. Something doesn't wash with the way that we build today and the way that they built back then.
So then there is. Oh, it was that one that I showed you guys. Okay, so
Yeah.
you could look right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't attach to anything up there. You know that they should never have touched that. They never should
No,
have added that to that.
no, that's the safety place. Okay.
It completely diminished the entire purpose of having that staircase there.
Although I will say, whoever installed it, I'm sure spent a lot of time and energy, not to take away from the installer's skill set.
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
still looks
exactly.
nice. I mean, it's not, you're right. It does diminish the original look and feel, but it's still done good. I'm saying this as a finished carpenter's perspective, so I'm trying not to run them down.
Oh yeah, I've done some finish work myself. I used to work
Yeah,
construction in my younger years, and I've done
yeah,
cement and concrete, and
mhm,
I've done tile laying, and I've done bathroom remodels, electrical, plumbing, everything you
yeah.
can possibly imagine. And
Which is probably why you appreciate this so much, is you can have there's a bit of an
yeah,
understanding of.
because it is something that is beyond our ability. It is
Mhm,
far beyond our ability.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's what got me into this research too, right? I was a carpenter for a long time. I teach it now at a college, but um, it makes no sense. The timelines, the materials, the people of the time, the technology of the time. There's like, how many strikes do you need before you're out? Because it's already more than three, right?
You got a whole team worth of players out at this point.
Yeah, totally,
So,
totally.
so this is Nebraska here, and this is the only place that they had in Nebraska. But
Hmm.
you can see this is obviously a mud flooded building. The windows halfway
Yeah.
buried, and their structure they built on the outside.
Yep.
Our beautiful porthole window, bricked all the way around.
Mhm.
I love those. I see those all over the place, and when you see them, you can't just help but wonder how exactly did they do that back then? Because doing that now is extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the kind of details that. Yeah. Or adding curves to the building. When they add like
Oh
a curve on
yeah.
the corner.
And so
Mm-hmm.
let's go to Missouri. And I just recently did a video in Missouri of St. Joseph, Missouri. And it's a town, it's a city that never had a great fire.
Interesting.
Let me tell you that every single building in that entire city is old world. Almost it's probably a good 15% of the buildings aren't old world.
Pardon me again, where are we here?
This is in Missouri.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find
what city are you talking about?
Oh, St. Joseph, Missouri.
Oh yeah, St. Joseph. Oh yeah, sorry.
St. Joseph is absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
One of my favorite videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't believe what I didn't know. I didn't even know that St. Joseph existed actually before I did the video. And then when I looked into it, I'm like, this place is. It's one of those like small cities that has like big city old world presence.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like Evansville is kind of like that too. But yeah.
Let's not let me click on this. Let me refresh this.
Yeah, St. Joseph's, and the narrative with St. Joseph's has to do with I think what's his name? Guy that gets shot. Cowboy narrative. Brad Pitt played him in a movie.
Oh yes, I do believe that is correct. Yeah.
What's his name? He shoots him in the back, right? So help me out in the chat here, guys. Who are we talking about? Who's that? Who's the cowboy from? It happened in St. Joseph, I think. Good. Maybe I'm intentionally forgetting cowboy narrative because it's a lie and it's useless.
Yeah, it's so
that's
absurd.
why my mind can't find it. Yeah. Because it's a big name in our lore, right? And then they make movies of these things. They like to reinforce the narrative with movies and TV shows, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And another thing I noticed that they're doing is they'll take a name of something that you can research and find on your own, and they will make it into a movie. So every time you make a search, that comes up instead.
Yes, they interfere with searches. I completely agree with you there.
Absolutely. I've suffered that a ton of times. It is very frustrating to deal with, and to get around it is next to impossible.
Yeah. Jesse James is who I was thinking of. Thank you for that in the chat. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Jesse James. Oh, yes, Jesse James. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the Webster Groves School.
Wow, this is a monster.
This school is absolutely insanely huge.
In Missouri.
They would absolutely consider this an asylum if it was maybe 20 years earlier. This would have been an asylum and it wouldn't have been a school. And
interesting. Yeah,
this is absolutely insane. That was the whole reason that I planned this part on Missouri was because of this one building in these photos. And there aren't very many photos of this either.
Yeah, what's that one too?
So this is the same building. This is the front.
Oh wow! Really?
Look at the parapets on that. It's
yeah,
absolutely incredible build. Absolutely incredible.
You know what I think about those? I think they've actually removed the roofs of those, the harnessing devices. Like if you go up.
Oh yeah, everything that was above these, long gone, long gone. They took that long before we would ever get a chance to see it.
That's right. Before any pictures of it were taken or any of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Idio says that here. Walt Disney, they made Frozen, so when you search for Frozen, for Frozen Disney.
Yep, that's what you get. Yep.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. It's crazy how that works, and muddying up the search engines, right, and steering them, of course.
Oh, also, I don't know if you noticed this, but 20 years ago, you would go and search something on Google, or 15 years ago, it would say that there's some sort of million results. You go through 200, 300, 400 pages of results. Now you go through 22, 23 pages, and that's the end of the results. It takes you to the very end.
Yeah.
You can never see all of them.
That's a good point.
They completely saturated everything to where you cannot find anything you're looking for.
Yeah, so looking at this building. Yeah,
this is the same school. So this is the one with the two parapets in the front right here with the castle front, and then this is the original building right here. And then
you can
this
tell
is the
that
back
towers. They had several towers coming off this, and it likely flattened everything here And I would even wager that the roof lines were much more ornate, probably steeper peaked mansard, probably with dormers. This is clearly they've chopped this off and flattened the top. If you know.
Oh yeah, they sanitized the top of this for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that a lot actually in St. Joseph. I think, if I recall, when I did that video, I do remember seeing a lot of that might have been one of the videos that tipped me off to this modification going on as well. Actually.
Yeah, and then this is the smaller structure that I'm guessing this was a secondary, and it's just incredible brickwork. I cannot believe the layout of this building.
Did they get the
Massive.
local contractors to build that, or? I've actually found some narratives that the Nuns built it. I think I can't remember.
The Nuns built it.
Well, that's all they give in the narrative. Well, the Nuns built this. I'm like, who? You mean they paid to build it? They actually physically laid the bricks? Like, what do you mean? And the narrative gives no more information. They just say that.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, they're telling us that women, that they weren't allowed to go to school, they weren't allowed to learn, they weren't allowed to do math. Like they got burned at the stake for doing math. So, which of the narratives is true? Were they the ones building these, or were they the ones that were getting burned at the stake? What was really going on? It's conflicting narratives at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. We got another stick figure going on for this one.
Okay. What is this? This can't be the same building. No,
I think this. Wait a minute.
Demolition.
Maybe the same building they're trying to claim it as, because this is the T-shaped building.
Really? They're telling this is the construction of that building?
It sure looks like it. I definitely, Groves College. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're telling us that this stick figure turned into that building.
Oh man,
I do not believe that.
I don't know if I buy that either. I don't know if I buy that. Pardon me if I doubt the story just a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely. And so what do we got going on here? They definitely didn't white out whatever this is, but they didn't have these giant cranes back then. So what do we have here?
Yeah, exactly. Whoops.
Yeah. They forget to white that part out.
Yeah.
Their glass slide editor forget to scratch that piece off of there, or what?
Sloppy. Just seems so sloppy. They didn't have enough money to pay these people enough. They didn't get the best photo retouchers.
It's supposed to be this one was this.
You've got to be kidding me. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't follow that. It just doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem right. Something's way off about that one.
All right, so let's look to wrap it up in about 10 minutes, if you don't mind. And if there's anything you really wanted to show, now might be a time to bust that out.
Yes. Let me. I'm not sure if you can.
Let me quickly show your channel. So we're talking to Erik from Lost and Found History Rewritten. Make sure you sub to his work. He does a lot of good boots on the ground. Checking out a lot of the old world buildings in his greater area. Pretty mobile, actually. Checking out a lot of stuff, it seems.
Let's see if I can get can you modify it so it can see my file explorer? How do I do that?
So this can see it?
Yes.
Did you share a screen or did you just share a file?
Let's see.
Here, I'll let you do your thing for a bit. No, I can see.
Shift-S.
I'm going to scroll some of your video. This will be a little advertisement for Erik's channel. I like your logo too, by the way. It's pretty sweet. I like it.
Actually, my 16-year-old daughter finalized that for me. That's my individual unincorporated private bank logo too.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
I started learning about all this the law and about banking, and a big one is I found out your birth certificate is worth $100 million, and so I have several different YouTube. Your birth certificate is worth $100 million.
Interesting.
It's a bond. If you read at the bottom of your birth certificate, it was issued by a bank.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't doubt it. I've seen some crazy banks too. They claimed a lot of those buildings as banks too. And here's one right here, the Old World Elizabeth, Colorado Bank. Let's watch this one. Why don't we wrap up on this one if you want to walk us through? This is a nice little small town, pretty little bank.
Oh yes, that's in Elizabeth, Colorado. That is, and I had somebody tell me in the comments that that's a bunch of crap and that was built by us. And I took one look at this and I went, this is insanity, because it's on the National Register of Historic Places.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't believe that this exists in a town of like basically no one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're giving us a time period of 1907. When you go to look this building up, you can't find anything about it. And you can see back here on the back, you're going to see, I'm going to zoom in back here. You can see where they've concreted over the bottom of this, whatever was originally there. And that's somebody's house now. Someone lives there.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes, someone got that as a home. Oh, I would love to live inside of that thing. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was really recent too. One of the people in town told me that they had just purchased that.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's a really, really small town, eh?
Very. If you blink, you miss the whole town.
Yeah. And that's the thing with this narrative. Big or small, it doesn't seem to matter. We got old world everywhere. Yeah, why don't we do a little outro? I think we're hitting the 2-hour mark here pretty quick. And if you want to say anything, plug anything, or anything you like, yeah, any last words?
Yeah, no, I thank you everybody that follows me on my channel for showing up for this. I greatly appreciate it. I love all my followers. Without you, none of this would be possible. I definitely wouldn't have the motivation that I do to go around and share all of this. I plan on doing a lot more lives now that I'm getting into understanding how to do it. I had to learn the technology first, of course, but there's always a real easy learning curve with some of this stuff. And YouTube, you can just watch videos do it. So I appreciate everybody, especially Kathy. You've been there since the beginning. Thank you, Kathy. You're amazing. Wiley, I can't wait to do videos with you, Wiley. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, you're bringing a lot to the table. I think you bring a really strong perspective, a very intelligent approach, very knowledgeable. So I appreciate you joining here on this on my channel, and I hope we can do this again. I think maybe we can make this a regular interaction. If you're up for it, I'd be down.
Yeah, anyway. I am absolutely down for that. I would love to be able to do that with you.
Cool. Well, keep doing what you're doing, and take care of the little one, and I'll do the same to mine. And,
likewise.
Until next time, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. And again, if you're watching the replay, I appreciate you watching as well. Until next time.
This has been an Old World Exploration. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and comment. I believe we are in the process of remembering who we really are and casting off the shackles of illusion. Until next time.